Welcome to our series, Fine Poetry, Poems that Touch Deeper Chords. Today, Jorge Luis Borges, Part 3. My whole life, here once again, the memorable lips, unique and like yours. I am this groping intensity that is a soul. I have got near to happiness and have stood in the shadow of suffering. I have crossed the sea. I have known many lands. I have seen one woman and 2 or 3 men. I have loved a girl who was fair and proud, with a Spanish quietness. I have seen the city's edge, an endless sprawl where the sun goes down tirelessly over and over. I have relished many words. I believe deeply that this is all, and that I will neither see nor accomplish new things. I believe that my days and my nights, in their poverty and their riches, are the equal of God's and of all men's. Translated by W.S. Merwin. A poet of the 13th century. Think of him laboring in the Tuscan hills on the first sonnet, that word still unsaid, the undistinguished pages filled with sad triplets and quatrains, without heads or tails. Slowly he shapes it, yet the impulse fails. He stops, perhaps at a strange, slight music shed from time coming, and its holy dread, a murmuring of far-off nightingales. Did he sense that others were to follow? That the arcane, incredible Apollo had revealed an archetypal thing, a whirlpool mirror that would draw and hold all that night could hide or day unfold? Daedalus, labyrinth, riddle, Oedipus King? Translated by William Ferguson. Chess. Set in their studious corners, the players move the gradual pieces. Until dawn, the chessboard keeps them in its strict confinement, with its 2 colors set at daggers drawn. Within the game itself, the forms give off their magic rules. Homeric castle, knight swift to attack, queen warlike, king decisive, slanted bishop, and attacking pawns. Eventually, when the players have withdrawn, when time itself has finally consumed them, the ritual certainly will not be done. It was in the East this war took fire. Today, the whole earth is its theater. Like the game of love, this game goes on forever. 2. Faint-hearted king, sly bishop, ruthless queen, straightforward castle, and deceitful pawn, over the checkered black and white terrain, they seek out and begin their armed campaign. They do not know it is the player's hand that dominates and guides their destiny. They do not know that an adamantine fate controls their will and lays the battle plan. The player, too, is captive of caprice. The words are omars on another ground, where black nights alternate with whiter days. God moves the player, he, in turn, the piece. But what God beyond God begins the round of dust and time and sleep and agonies. Translated by Alastair Reid. Rain. Quite suddenly, the evening clears at last, as now outside the soft, small rain is falling or fallen. Rain itself is something, undoubtedly, which happens in the past. Whoever hears it falling has remembered a time in which a curious twist of fate brought back to him a flower whose name was Rose, and the perplexing redness of its red. This rain which spreads its blind across the pane must also brighten in forgotten suburbs the black grapes on a vine across a shrouded patio now no more. The evening's rain brings me the voice, the dear voice of my father, who comes back now, who never has been dead. Translated by Alastair Reid. Ars Poetica. To look at the river made of time and water, and remember that time is another river, to know that we are lost like the river, and that faces dissolve like water. To be aware that waking dreams, it is not a sleep, while it is another dream, and that the death that our flesh goes in fear of is that death which comes every night and is called sleep. To see in the day or in the year a symbol of the days of man and of his years, to transmute the outrage of the years into a music, a murmur of voices and a symbol, to see in death sleep, and in the sunset a sad gold such is poetry, which is immortal and poor. Poetry returns like the dawn and the sunset. At times, in the evenings, a face looks at us out of the depths of a mirror. Art should be like that mirror, which reveals to us our own face. They say that Ulysses, sated with marvels, wept tears of love at the sight of his Ithaca, green and humble. Art is that Ithaca of green eternity, not of marvels. It is also like the river with no end, that flows and remains, and is the mirror of one same inconstant Heraclitus, who is the same and is another, like the river with no end. Translated by W.S. Merwin. Spinoza. The Jew's hands, translucent in the dusk, polish the lenses time and again. The dying afternoon is fear, is cold, and all afternoons are the same. The hands and the hyacinth blue air that whitens at the ghetto edges do not quite exist for this silent man who conjures up a clear labyrinth, undisturbed by fame, that reflection of dreams in the dream of another mirror, nor by maidens' timid love, free of metaphor and myth. He grinds a stubborn crystal, the infinite map of the one who is all his stars. Translated by Richard Howard and César Rennert. Adam cast forth the garden. Was it real or was it dream? Slow in the hazy light, I have been asking, almost as a comfort, if the past, belonging to this now unhappy Adam, was nothing but a magic fantasy of that God I dreamed. Now it is imprecise. In memory, that lucid paradise. But I know it exists and will persist, though not for me. The unforgiving earth is my affliction, and the incestuous wars of Cains and Abels and their progeny. Nevertheless, it means much to have loved, to have been happy, to have touched upon the living garden, even for one day. Translated by Alistair Reid. And lastly, Ode, written in 1966. No one is the homeland, not even the rider, high in the dawn in the empty square, who guides a bronze steed through time, nor those others who look out from marble, nor those who squandered their martial ash over the plains of America, or left a verse or an exploit of the memory of a life fulfilled in the careful exercise of their duties. No one is the homeland, nor are the symbols. No one is the homeland, not even time, laden with battles, swords, exile after exile, and with the slow peopling of regions stretching into the dawn and the sunset, and with faces growing older in the darkening mirrors, and with anonymous agonies endured all night until daybreak, and with the cobweb of rain over black gardens. The homeland, friends, is a continuous act, as the world is continuous. If the eternal spectator were to cease for one instant to dream us the white, sudden lightning of his oblivion would burn us up. No one is the homeland, but we should all be worthy of that ancient oath, which those gentlemen swore to be something they didn't know, to be Argentines, to be what they would be by virtue of the oath taken in that old house. We are the future of those men, the justification of those dead. Our duty is the glorious burden bequeathed to our shadow by those shadows. It is ours to save. No one is the homeland. It is all of us. May that clear, mysterious fire burn without ceasing in my breast and yours. Translated by W.S. Merwin. Namaste.